Our generation has the opportunity to view something the way that no generation before us has. And that is, when we take off on an airplane, I'm sure we've all experienced being on an airplane, we take off on an airplane and we see a person who's on the ground, or let's say a car that's on the ground. And as we are in the plane and on the tarmac and the car is with us, is sort of right at the same level, we see how big the car is. But as we begin to take off into the air, and we look down at that car, that very same car, if we could still see it, becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, the experience of that car being so small can only be of the individual who's flying in the plane, not the person in the car. The person in the car may assume that the person in the plane thinks that they are that small, but it's not really relevant because they are not in connection with that person. So they wouldn't even know how that person or what that person is thinking. When the Bnei Yisrael, when the Jewish people sent spies to spy out the land of Israel, the spies returned, the Meraglim returned, and reported to Moshe and the rest of the Jewish people what they found. And one of the things that they said was that they felt that they were as small, they felt that they were as small as grasshopper in respect to the giants that were in the land. Now that's understandable. They themselves felt very small because the people who were there were so much bigger than them, apparently. Yet, the Pasuk continues and says, V'chein hayinu b'eineihem. And we were also that way in their eyes. And the great question is, it's understandable that the Meraglim can feel a certain way about their own feelings. But how were the Meraglim able to say that they appeared a certain way to other people when they don't know what the Anakim, what the great people, what the large people really felt about them? It was true that they felt that they were like grasshoppers. But they never asked them. They didn't know. It was just their assumption. So how do we make sense of this? So Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk explains that what we learn from here is an important lesson in self-respect and in self-esteem. Yes, a person should always be concerned to a certain degree about other people and what other people think of them. We talk about the idea of a shem tov, a good name. We should always make sure that other people think of us in a positive light. Yet, at the same time, we cannot put all of our focus on what other people think. We have to care first and foremost about how we see ourselves, about how we feel about ourselves, about the positive light in which we view our existence. And if we do such, we won't be concerned about appearing a certain way to someone else. If, for example, we are sitting on the tarmac and we're sitting in a car and the plane begins to take off, we don't think when we're in the car about how small we look to the people who are in the air. We think about how big that plane is and that the plane is moving in the air. Never belittle ourselves in contrast to something which is greater than us. Look at our own greatness. And then as we look at our own greatness, the lesson of the Meraglim will shine through. We will truly be able to understand that all because something may be bigger than us, it doesn't mean that it's greater than us on any other level. May we be zocheh to heed this message, strengthen our own self-esteem and self-worth, and indeed learn a good lesson from the mistake of the Meraglim. Thank you and good Shabbos.